Hello, everyone. Thank you for this beautiful beginning of our conference. And welcome. It's an honor to speak today at the beginning of Whole World Single Flower Conference. First of all, I would like to thank the Malaysian Sangha for your determination in organizing this event, despite not favorable circumstances. I would also like to express my gratitude to Online Sangha for their great effort and hard work. And thank you all for joining. So during our last meeting, the four of us, our head teacher, Zen Master Song Hyun, had a very good idea to give a speech about 4 parts of a flower: the root, stem, leaves, and petals, so that our Dharma talks would make up a complete Dharma flower. And I will talk about the roots. And we tend to value plants for their top growth, right? It's the part where what we can see and enjoy and appreciate. But lush leaves and beautiful petals all come up from the roots. The roots anchor the plant in place, resisting the forces of wind and running water or mud flow. Without roots, plants would be unable to retrieve water or nutrition from the soil, or even hold themselves upright. So it is a perfect analogy for our own practice and our own growth and our life. We need some sort of rooting system. We call it strong center. My Zen roots began when Zen Master Song San came to Poland more than 40 years ago. Back then, Poland was a communist country under a strong influence from Soviet Union. And as you can imagine, not a very diverse one, with over 90% of the population being Catholic. But that did not discourage our teacher. When he came for the first time, right away, he wanted to meet Catholic priests, and I couldn't understand why, what for. He never cared to explain any of that. But his point was to make peace and harmony with your environment, to find what unites us instead of what separates us. He would teach monks and nuns saying, and you know this teaching very well, in the Bible, Jesus taught, I am the way, the truth, and life. And in Zen Buddhism, we teach, first, you must discover correct way, truth, and correct life. So when monks heard this teaching, they were very happy because they could relate to this teaching easily. It was the first time that Catholic monastics heard the teaching. After that, he would meet with them actually every time he visited Poland, which was almost every year for a time being. And now they have a monastery where they teach Zen meditation. And at that time, I didn't realize how important it was for the practitioners to have an open relationship with this strong religious environment. As for many of them, these were their roots. So my point is, I guess, we all want to live in harmony, but we don't exactly know how we can achieve that. And we often don't believe that this is even possible. So fortunately, Zen Master Song San taught us a skillful means and subtle ways on how to do that. Our path has to be based on harmony, mutual acceptance, and understanding. And only then we can serve other people, not only in the Zen environment, not in Zen centers, but everywhere we happen to be. So, what are our Zen roots? And we hear this over and over again. Return to this moment, to your original mind, moment to moment. But what does it actually mean? So here is a little story that connects to that. Once a student traveled with Zen master, and he would ask him many questions. So finally they arrived at a waterfall, and the student asked, "Master, I want to practice, but I still don't understand. How can I enter this way?" Then Zen master asked, "Do you hear the waterfall?" "Yes, I do," replied the student. And Zen master said, "Then enter here." As this story shows, if you have a question, then your question will be answered. You just have to listen. Question is what sets everything in motion. And it can be any kind of question. It can be even a very skeptical question. For example, what am I doing here? How this practice is going to help me? How it's going to help my life? So the way does not differentiate between good or bad, and is not dependent on any set of forms or beliefs. Sixth Patriarch said, Zen does not rely on written or spoken word. It does not depend on understanding or not understanding. And as Zen Master Song San pointed out, return to your before thinking. So if you find this point that is not dependent on your memory, not dependent on your karma or your thinking, then you can see, hear, taste, smell, think, and act clearly. So Dharma is a way of life, and it affects everything we do. Our job, relationships, future projects. So there is a kongan that we use. Before the donkey has left, the horse has already arrived. The donkey represents our selfish nature and the horse represents our Buddha nature. So it is up to us from one moment to another. What do we choose? Do we put a carrot on the stick for the donkey to chase, stick to our particular perspective? Or do we rather water, feed, and care for the horse? So sometimes when people become discouraged and lose faith, they think this practice is not for me. It is too difficult, too long. In such moments, we need to do something. We need to take initiative, not to fall into despair. Healing or becoming whole can only happen through loving and caring actions. So there is another short story about that. One time during retreat, somebody asked Master Song San, how can we save people fighting at war? And as you know, there is always some war somewhere. And that time it was in former Yugoslavia. And then Master Song San answered, this is really important. Just sitting in this Dharma room, I already saved all beings. It means if there is a war inside of you and you are struggling and you feel restless and confused, you cannot save anybody. So this flower with strong roots and stem always turns to the sun naturally, the same way humans turn to light. And meditation brings light to our mind. And often mind light is covered by a cloud of ignorance. But when we are aware of it, it is not a problem. Cloud soon disappears. The problem is when we don't even realize that there is a cloud in the first place. We just don't see it. So in the Diamond Sutra, it is said, when you can see the delusion, then you are not deluded. So there's another interesting kongan which connects to that. Sun is shining everywhere, like today, very strong. Why does the cloud obscure it? So it is perfectly fine and natural for a cloud to appear. They are always coming and going with the wind. And we accept that and we live with that. Coming back to this beautiful flower, roots support the stem. And from a strong stem, leaves grow and many colorful petals can bloom. Always interrelate, never in conflict. They never say, I don't like those colors. It's too dark or too bright, or those leaves have not good enough shape. So with our teaching and practice, we aspire to communicate with open mind and heart, without holding to our opinion, on only following the teachings and our own wisdom. Most of you know the teaching well, and we love it. We believe in it. We love to read it and even can teach others, sometimes really well. But the question is, do we live accordingly? So in these times, people are more agitated everywhere in the world. In our centers too. So there are conflicts. Sometimes even anger may appear. Therefore, we need to pay close attention to what we are say and do. Each and every person makes a difference in this world. Each person has some input. We ought to put our great vow into many areas with all our talents and gifts. And this is the time to use them. With practice, we can stay focused, not only on our affairs, but be concerned of the world. So Zen practice is about deep connection, not only with our brothers and sisters, but with the animals, trees, all nature. We ought to reconnect and listen. Listen to the wind, rustling leaves, birds, mountains, and seas. If we only talk to ourselves, and doing so, we break the connection. But if you truly experience this practice, then even if you wander around and get lost, this practice experience will always show you the way back, will guide you to your true original home. And this home is not some kind of nirvana. It is a place where we replenish our strength and vitality to be ready to face whatever appears in our life, to respond to any opportunity and any situation with clarity and empathy. So thank you very much for listening. And I do hope next time we meet in face and we enjoy our company and our together practice. Thank you very much.